everybody, Crafting Journey here. It's snowing! Yes, and don't check your calendar. Yes, it is April 20th, 2021. Yeah, not January, April. And it's snowing here in Wichita today and many other places as I understand it. So I'm just stunned, but I've lived here 2 years and things just never cease to amaze me. So poor Tootsie, she was cold last night, didn't want to, she was like sleeping on top of me, like just scrunched into me, and when she does that, it really, I love it. It keeps me warm, but I could tell she was cold. So I went and got her sweater and put it on her. Turned up the heat. No, I like it cold at night. I think I had the heater on, but I had it set to 66, which I slept great. Slept great. Oh my gosh. I did what I said I was going to do. I went to bed at like 9:30ish. I stayed in the craft room here. I was actually talking to Nareda. We were chit-chatting, and all of a sudden we were like, oh, look what time it is. Yeah. And diamond painting. And so then I got ready for bed and watched one TV show, played a little bit of my game, and then watched one TV show. So I'm sure I was asleep by 11. I said, I'm going to sleep. I was tired. Big day yesterday. So here's actually what I finished while I was on the chit chat with my friend. So I finished the bottom part here. It's looking very Alice, isn't it? There's the Mad Hatter. Look, there's the hat. Some more cards, and I'm assuming this is part of a dress here. So what I decided to do is we're going to go all the way to this corner because it's a mystery painting and it's fun. I suspect there's an Alice face under here, but we will wait to reveal that. I can't talk this morning. So yeah, we're going to go right here and start there this morning. And it looks like there might be like a little bird or something, maybe right there. Not sure, but I put this on Instagram and one person said, yeah, I think I know what that is. I think I know that image. Do tell. No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. So I put my winter hat on today and my winter sweater. I actually bought this at Walmart the other day because it was on clearance for $3. And I thought, oh, this will be good for next year. Who knew that 4 days later it would be snowing? Yes, I'm like talking a mile a minute here. Why did I get this color? Oh, I know why. Because I want to see what this bird looks like. We got Jake over here. Tootsie was in here a minute ago. So I got, this is ironic, in the mail yesterday, I got this rocking chair that I ordered so I could sit outside. It's an outdoor chair, so I could sit outside. There's a little brick area outside, so I could sit outside with the dogs and crochet or whatever, and I put it together, and I wake up this morning and I go to let the dog out, and this is what I'm welcomed with. Well, actually the cushion was on it. It came with a cushion. The cushion was covered in snow. I'm like, oh. Luckily it's an indoor-outdoor cushion, so I brushed the snow off of it and I brought it in to dry. I'm like, oh, this is brand new and it's already snowed. Oh my gosh. So I guess, oh my goodness. It's National Lookalike Day. Did I say that already? I don't remember. Should I start the show over? National Lookalike Day. So do you look just like somebody, like maybe a celebrity? Do you know someone who does look just like a celebrity? Well, this is the day to celebrate them. Or maybe if you don't have a doppelganger out there, maybe you could, dress up like somebody. Who do I look like today? Let's see. I'm trying to think like a celebrity that I would compare myself to. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think like I look, I don't think there's ever been another me. And believe it or not, I don't look like my sister. We don't, I mean, you can tell we're sisters. There's a few features we have. Like, I don't look like my daughter. My daughter and son both took after their father. Maybe Malia. Malia and I have a lot of things. We don't look alike, obviously, but we have a lot of, we're both, she's going to be tall like I am. She's got big feet like her grandma. But let me know if you actually have met your doppelganger somewhere along the way in your lifetime. And if you have a picture, let me know and put it in the Facebook group. I would love to see it. Like there, Crystal, the creator, Crystal's Crafty Creations, I think she looks exactly like my former sister-in-law. Now, so one day I showed the picture of my former sister-in-law to Mickey, and I'm like, Mickey, who does this look like? And she's like, I don't know. Who is it? So I must be the only one that can see the resemblance. In fact, I've asked Crystal, like, do you have maybe a long lost sister, or were you adopted, or did you ever have a sibling that was adopted? Because my sister-in-law, former sister-in-law, she was adopted. So I'm thinking maybe Crystal is her long lost family. Something's bugging me. Do I have a tag here or something? It's bugging me. No, I took the tag off, so whatever. This will probably be the only day that I can wear this sweater until next year. I love the look how long the sleeves are, because I'm a very long-armed person. See? So I like that. It's very comfy, and it's kind of this part's kind of light, and then this is heavier. Yeah, so that is the National Day. Let's talk, this is what you've been waiting for, judge, jury, and attorney. So, yesterday we had closing arguments. Now, this is one of the reasons I took the day off. I wanted to hear the closing arguments. I wanted to be able to concentrate on them. What I did not anticipate was that they would be so gosh darn long. And of course, I'm talking about closing arguments in the George Floyd murder trial, where Derek Chauvin, a former police officer for the Minneapolis Police Department, is on trial for 3 counts: second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. So the judge starts by giving the jury all their instructions, which that is a huge snooze fest. Then the prosecution opens, he goes first with his closing arguments. And he started out by really personalizing George Floyd. Who was this man? He was a family man, had all these relatives, he had 2 kids, had a girlfriend, living his life. So he basically humanized George Floyd for the just to kind of remind the jury, like, why are we here? And then he also, and this was more for the public, I think, he reminded everybody that this is the state of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. It is not the state of Minnesota versus police everywhere. This was one bad apple. And what is the old adage? One bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. And then he said Derek Chauvin is not on trial for who he is. He's on trial for what he did. You know, Derek Chauvin made some very bad choices that day. And one of the questions that's always been left in my mind is why? Why? Just why? You know, none of it made sense to me. Why would, and I guess more importantly of all, and I have expressed this, is why when his fellow officer said he has no pulse, why did you not start CPR? Why did you not try to resuscitate this man? And the why became very clear to me when the prosecutor said, because his ego wouldn't let him. This man had an ego. I mean, we all do. But do we let it ruin us like that? So, you know, he said that this man, Derek Chauvin, abandoned his values, he abandoned his training. And why did he do that? Because his ego. You know, he was, you know, this guy, you know, George Floyd gave him a hard time, and he was going to show George Floyd who was boss, you know. Same with the crowd. He was, you know, he was the man. He was the guy with the gun and the badge, and, you know, he wasn't, his ego wouldn't let him back off of what he was doing. Yeah. I pray that I never get like that, my ego, you know. My goodness, wow. So the prosecutor, I thought, did something very strategic and interesting. He put up the charges on like a table. He had the charges on one side and the elements on up above, and then he went through each one of the elements and what were the facts of the case that they had. You know, what did the evidence show for each element of each crime? And they showed video as well. In fact, I think it's the first time the public may have seen any of the autopsy photos. It was brief. It was not anything gruesome or anything, but it was there to show that the bruising and the marks on his cheek from being rubbed into the pavement. Yeah. So, so the prosecutor went on for about an hour and 40 minutes, I think, ish, you know. And then the judge says, okay, we're going to take a 20-minute break and we'll come back for the defense closing arguments. So now it is about, it's 11:30-ish now, Central Time. And as soon as he says that, my messenger goes off, and it's Mickey, and she's like, we're on a 20-minute break. So she had been listening. So we chit-chatted, and finally I'm like, listen, I got to go to the bathroom before before the defense starts. I got to put some glue dots in this tip. So the defense comes back, they come back from their break, the defense comes on, and he starts his argument. And his whole argument was centered around what would a reasonable officer do? So he went through, he had like a book, like, oh dear God, he brought a book of notes. He went through every single witness, and what would a reasonable officer do here? And what would a reasonable officer do there? So at one point, I thought I was listening to the state of Minnesota versus a reasonable officer. Like, are you representing a reasonable officer, or are you representing, you know, Derek Chauvin? He said the word reasonable 118 times. And no, I didn't count. Some news person counted. Can you imagine? Hey, you're the intern. Run that tape and Let me know how many times he says reasonable, okay? I'll be at lunch. Okay, bye. Yeah. Can you imagine some poor intern? Like, yeah. Anyway, 118 times. Um, and it was very strategic on his part. You know, he's trying to put reasonable doubt into the mind of at least one juror. He only needs one. So to do that, he's saying the word over and over and over again and pointing out here, this was reasonable, that was reasonable, so that, you know, in the mind of at least one juror, they're going to go back and think, this guy did the reasonable thing, you know, for him. I don't know. So, you know, some people commented, you know, is this guy just a bad lawyer? No, he's not a bad lawyer. He's very smart. You know, it was annoying, but he's very smart, you know, to do, you know, to take the strategy that he did. The other strategy that he did, and I'm not sure this one may have gone in his favor. He had Derek Chauvin take off his mask during the closing arguments. And so Derek, unfortunately, he's not, to me, I don't find him a very attractive guy. He looks like he's just got a sourpuss face all the time. And, you know, I would have said, put the mask back on. I would have stopped my argument, went over, whispered to him and say, put the mask back on. Yeah. Because nobody wants to see your little sourpuss face. You know, whatever. Maybe he looks just like his mother. I don't know. But it comes off like he's just pissed off at the world. Anyways, so this argument's, you know, the defense is going on and on and on, and, you know, the reasonable officer this and the reasonable officer that. And finally, I get a message from Mickey about an hour and a half into it. Yeah, now we're at around 1 o'clock. And Mickey's like, my ears are bleeding. I have to turn this off. So I'm like, nope, I'm going to stick with it. But I needed to get some other stuff done around the house. That's why I took the day off, or one of the reasons. I wanted to run my rug cleaner in the area where Jake has his pee pads. So I'm listening, I've got it turned on, and I'm like, surely he'll be done in a few minutes anyway. We know, we've heard this all before. We know what he's going to say. And so I go, and it did take long to clean this little area rug, or the area where the carpet I wanted to clean was. And so I get that done, and I come back to the TV, and he's still talking. I'm like, oh, okay. So I listen a little bit more. So now I transfer my iPad into the bedroom, because one of the other things I wanted to do was to clean out my dresser drawers. You know, put the winter stuff away. I had 3 piles. Like this, I don't know if you've ever heard of Marie Kondo, but if you ever get a chance to watch her, she's like this organizer chick on Netflix. Anyway, so I had 3 piles. I had this stuff I'll never wear again pile. We're gonna throw it out. That was on the floor. Then I had a pile that this is stuff I really like, but it doesn't fit me. So, well, you know, we're going to put that away and we're going to wear it again someday, right? How many of you have piles and piles of that? And then there was the pile, like, this is going to go back into the drawers because this is stuff I can wear. And then I had another pile, was like, this is the winter stuff. I'm going to put this in the large dresser that's in Malia's room. You know, like the sweater and all my winter cozy pants. Since I'm going back to work, we're going to retire the pajama pants, the winter pajama pants, you know, the gnome pants, the snow globe pants. We're going to put those away for next Christmas. So I'm listening to the defense's closing argument while I'm doing this, and it's still going on and on and on. So I finish organizing the drawers and everything, and now it's like getting close to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm like, holy moly, these people have not had lunch, these jurors. Now, if I was a jury, I would be getting pissed off. I'm sitting in this school desk type chair in this courtroom for hours listening to what a reasonable officer would do. Well, a reasonable attorney would let me go to freaking lunch and get out of this chair. Well, so I sit down in the bed and I'm with my iPad because I'm like, okay, this is going to end soon, right? Because they haven't had lunch. Well, I fall asleep. You said I wasn't going to nap anymore. I fall asleep. I woke up 1 hour later. He's still talking. And I'm like, what? Maybe my iPad's frozen. Maybe, no, he was still talking. So I rewound it a little bit, and I recognized that the judge had stopped his argument. Just like all of a sudden the judge's like, we're going to lunch. Not even like, excuse me, hey, we're going to lunch. Like, keep talking, we're just going to go to lunch. So apparently they did take a 30-minute lunch break, and then they came back and the guy resumed talking. So that's what I was seeing when I woke up from my 1 hour nap. Now it's like 3:30 in the afternoon and he's still talking. I'm like, oh my God, what? So I'm not sure that was a good strategy. You're running into the jurors' lunchtime, which, shouldn't affect their opinion of your client's guilt or innocent, but it ain't gonna help. It's not. Because now they're pissed off at you. Don't mess with my lunchtime, man. Don't. I can get hangry. So he finally concludes, and then they take another little break, and then they come back, and the prosecution gets to do their rebuttal. And now, in the morning, it was the white attorney, and I don't remember his name. It just doesn't stick in my mind. But Mr. Blackwell sticks in my mind because he's just this gorgeous black man. And when this trial is all over and said and done with, I'm going to send him a marriage proposal. I've decided that he's a special prosecutor. I don't think he works for the state of Minnesota. He's, like I described yesterday, where you can go into a court in another state and get the judge can allow you to come into a case. And a lot of times in these high-profile murder cases, they'll bring in a special prosecutor, someone that's very skilled at doing these types of cases, and that's Mr. Blackwell. So I figure he's probably got a good bit of, he probably has a nice little income. I like his accent. I think he's funny. So I think we would make a very good pair. So Mr. Blackwell, this is, I'm just going to do it now, okay? Will you marry me? Okay, I'm available. Yeah, let me know. My email is down in the description. I live in Wichita. I know, yeah, sorry. But yeah, contact me and we'll talk, okay? Thank you, Mr. Blackwell. Anyway, so he does his closing argument. And luckily, he does not make it too long. But I just got a kick out of his rebuttal. It was just so funny. He kept referring to the defense's closing argument as stories, implying that they were fictional. So the defense was objection, move for mistrial, prosecutorial misconduct. I'm like, oh my God, really? So the judge says, Mr. Blackwell, I'm going to instruct the jury to ignore that comment. And then he made the comment a couple more times. And then the judge gives the instruction again. And then he started using the word, the way they were slanting their defense. Like he was really diminishing the defense's argument. But one of the things he said there's only two sides to wrong, and that's the W. And let me see if I can say it the way he said. I love his accent. There's only two sides to wrong, and that's the W and the D. Well, I can't replicate his accent, but I thought, and I'm thinking W and the G. What's he talking about? So wrong, WRONG. See, WNG. Yeah. Um, I thought that was really clever. But here's the funny part. And none of this is funny, but this is the funny part. He's like, what was Mr. Chauvin afraid of? What was he so afraid of that he couldn't take his knee off of this man's neck? Did he really think that someone was with, he says, there has never been in the history of the world someone without a pulse that comes back to life and does dastardly things and rampages the city. And then he said it a few times, like, did he really think George Floyd was going to do some, like, just come back to life and rampage the city? I just thought that was funny. Okay, it's not funny. Stop laughing. So, and he really did not go for this tag is bugging the crap out of me. I got to cut it out. It's just a, ugh. Hold on, wait a minute. Oh, I'll do it when it's over. I just can't, it's just bugging me. You're like, Rebecca, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay. I'm so nice and cozy warm. So, case is over. The judge gives it to the jury, but, before he sends them to deliberate, he announces the two jurors, because there's 14 jurors, he announces the two jurors that do not get to deliberate. And he says, you guys will be escorted into my office where I'm going to have a little chat with you. I think if I had been a juror sitting here listening to this thing for the last 2 weeks, sat through that defense closing argument today, and then you tell me I don't get to deliberate, I'd be pissed off. Or maybe very happy. I don't know. But, I'm like, no, I want to deliberate. I want to talk to everybody about this thing. I haven't been able to talk to, I haven't been able to watch the news in 2 weeks, and now you're telling me I don't get to deliberate? What the? Yeah. So he excuses them. And then the other ones go back to start their deliberations. And now we're talking now, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I think the jury is probably pretty worn out at this point. I don't know how much, I had no expectations that there would be a verdict last night. None, because no. I just didn't think so. So then there was this whole discussion on the record after the jury leaves. The defense argues their motion for a mistrial based on prosecutorial misconduct by Mr. Blackwell, my fiance, if you accept my proposal. And he said, and he cited some case law that supports his position that, if you during your closing arguments, denigrate the defense or disparage the defense, that could be a grounds for a mistrial. And the judge says, no, I gave a curative instruction. I told the jury to disregard, and I think that they got it. Well, okay. And then the other thing that was discussed, not necessarily, I don't know if it was a formal motion, but there was a discussion on the record regarding this Congresswoman, Maxine, I'm not sure what her last, Maxine Smith or something? Maxine, out of California. The day before, she had made this comment that, on the news, that they covered on the news, saying, if there is not a conviction in this case, that people should, take to the streets, basically. I don't know her exact comment, but the judge was like pissed. Like, I've never seen this judge this angry about a situation. And he said, he told the defense attorney, now that might give you some grounds for an appeal later on. If you want to come back at another time and enter onto the record like video or of exactly what she said, I'll put it in the record so that you can have an appeal later on. And then he went on this tirade about how, congressional figures should respect, unilateral other branches of the law, that they're not the only branch of the law. I mean, he was like really pissed off at this congresswoman who really should not have said this, what she said. But I understand that this is a very outspoken congresswoman, and this is not the first time she's done or made some inappropriate comments. But I think it's why people like this woman. Apparently, during a congressional hearing in the past, she's told other congressmen to shut up. Hey, shut up. So, what is her full name? Like, I looked up the video of what she was. I might have gotten rid of it. Oh no, there it is. There it is. Wait a minute. It's not a YouTube video, it's a news outlet, so I'm not sure I can share it. She encouraged them to get confrontation. Oh, Maxine Waters is her name. She, on Saturday night, called for protesters to stay on the street and get more confrontational if former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin is acquitted in the killing of George Floyd. What? So the defense attorney was worried that some of the jurors might have heard this. So again, moving for a mistrial. He's grasping for straws. So the judge says, no, I've instructed the jurors not to watch any of the news. So I'm confident, that if they had seen any of this, they would have told me. So no, motion denied. Then they did this thing called the Blakely hearing, which I had never heard of. And what that is it's a chance for the defendant to make a decision whether he wants this may be exclusive to Minnesota, I'm not sure. The defendant has to decide whether, apparently if he's found guilty, the prosecution can then make a case or put on evidence to support that there's these aggravating factors that would warrant a larger sentence than what it is prescribed in the statutes. So the defendant has the right for either a jury or a judge to decide whether the aggravating factors have been proffered by the prosecution beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, I have never heard of this, so like I said, it could be exclusive to that state since there's no death penalty, that kind of thing. So Derek Chauvin, they explained his rights, and he verbalized that he was waiving his right to have a jury decide this, and that he was comfortable with having a judge decide whether these aggravating factors had been proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Once again showing me that this man has quite the ego. This looks so comfortable that, I think he thinks he's going to get acquitted. And a lot of people do. Like, if you saw the chat, I'm going long today, sorry guys. If you saw the chat that went along with what I was watching, there are so many people, and I'm not sure that they actually, it could be just be random trolls, but they really truly believe that this police officer was doing his job and that he shouldn't be punished for doing his job. Okay, but I heard all the evidence. I saw the video. And I don't agree. Okay, so we'll just leave it there. So, like I said, should the jury reach, decide on a verdict, and I don't know that will be today either, Sometime this week, I will go live. I will share my screen and we will watch the reading of the verdict together so we can chit chat. Sorry I went so long today. Let's do this day in history before I let you go. Like, you guys are already gone. You're like, nope, I'm out of here. It's lunchtime. The reasonable subscriber would be going to lunch right now. Okay. Well, the reasonable creator is going to do this day in history, if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So, Fidel Castro, on this day in history, April 20th, 1980, makes the announcement, okay, everybody, if you want to go to the United States, go to the Mariel Harbor. If someone can come pick you up, you can leave the island. So, families in the U.S. started scrambling to get boats to the Mariel Harbor. And just on the first day, 125,000 Cuban refugees from Mariel reached Florida. The next day, 125,000. Now, later on, we learned that Fidel Castro dumped, like, he opened up the mental institutions and the prisons and put them on the boats, and they all came too. So, yeah. Thank you, Fidel Castro. So that was this day in history, and I'm going to continue to diamond paint until I figure out what this diamond painting is. Yep, I am. All right, guys. Tomorrow I will be starting the next trial, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget, please, if you have a mind to, you are welcome to buy me a cup of coffee. The link is down in the description. Make it a decaf. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Ring the bell when you want to be notified when I have another video go live or get posted. If you want to be notified when the verdict's going to be read, ring the bell and give me a thumbs up if you liked the contents of today's video. And I will see you. Oh, before I forget, oh my goodness, today will be another new artist release from Treasure Studios Art. Stay tuned for that. This afternoon, there will be a new artist release. Yeah, what did I say? April's going to be a huge month for TSA. Yep, so stay tuned for that. So guys, have a great Tuesday. I'm going to work. Yeah, in my room. I don't have to be in the office till May 3rd. Oh, and by the way, it's only going to be 3 days a week to start with. Yeah, we're phasing back. Yes. Whatever you want to call it. I'm okay with it. I've come to terms with it. All right, I love you all. I will see you tomorrow morning, if not sooner. Take care.